Welcome back, everyone, to the Business Book Club. Great to have you with us again.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Today, we're diving into a really interesting one, sort of a DIY approach to business education.
That's right. We're talking about Josh Kaufman's The Personal MBA.
Exactly. It's framed as this self-directed crash course. The idea is to give you the core mental models for business.
Without the massive price tag and time commitment of a traditional MBA program.
Right. And the mission really is to cut through the noise, get past the buzzwords and the fluff.
Yeah, Kaufman focuses on the fundamentals, these core business concepts, these mental models that build a solid framework for making better decisions.
The whole idea being that mastering these fundamentals can actually take you pretty far.
Definitely. And it tackles some common mental roadblocks people face, doesn't it?
It really does. Things like what he calls business angst, that fear of starting something new.
Or certification intimidation, that feeling that only people with fancy degrees really understand business.
Yeah, and that classic imposter syndrome, always feeling like you're not quite qualified.
The book argues the essential knowledge is actually quite accessible.
Accessible and, frankly, much more affordable. I mean, we looked into it. A top MBA, it can easily cost over $400,000 once you factor everything in.
Oof. Yeah, interest, opportunity cost. It adds up fast.
And the book gives you tools to avoid, well, really expensive mistakes. We even heard from someone who said the book saved them from I think he said $150,000 mistake.
Wow.
By basically forcing him to validate his idea before sinking a ton of money into it. Self-education paid off, literally.
That makes sense. It really comes back to mastering the fundamentals, stripping away the complexity. Business, at its core, is a repeatable system.
Okay, so let's unpack that core. Kaufman lays out this definition. The 5 parts of every business. He says it's a repeatable process and must have these 5 things.
And they're inseparable, right? Take one away and poof.
Yeah, you don't have a business anymore. You've got something else, maybe a hobby, maybe a failure.
Precision is key here. So many ventures fail because they miss just one. The first one's pretty obvious. You have to create and deliver something of value.
Right. But number 2, this is the kicker.
It has to be something that other people want or need. This one's unforgiving.
Absolutely. If people don't want it, you're dead in the water. Okay, so we need 3, 4, and 5. What's next?
Third, you need to offer it at a price they're willing to pay. Seems obvious, but pricing is tricky.
And 4th?
It has to actually satisfy the purchaser's needs and expectations. Delivery matters. Does it do what you promised?
Okay, value, want, need, price, satisfaction. What's the 5th?
And the big one, the one that separates a real business from, say, a charity or just a passion project. It has to provide sufficient revenue, enough profit to keep the doors open.
And make it worthwhile for you, the owner, right?
Exactly. If it's a brilliant idea but it just bleeds cash, it's not sustainable. It's a flop, maybe even a subsidized one.
That second point, the want or need one, that brings us straight to what he calls the iron law of the market.
Ah, yes. The market is king.
And the classic example here, maybe a bit painful, is the Segway.
Oh, the Segway. Yeah, hailed as this revolutionary tech marvel, right? Supposed to change urban transport forever.
Totally. Technologically, it was impressive, but
the massive market they banked on, it just wasn't there. People didn't really want or need it in the way they predicted.
the iron law in action. Doesn't matter how cool or innovative your thing is, if there isn't genuine existing demand.
It's probably going to fail. The market always wins.
So how do you figure out if that desire, that want is actually there? Kaufman connects it back to something fundamental.
He does. He talks about core human drives, basically tapping into human nature to understand what motivates people to buy.
Right. If you want to create value, you need to connect with these drives.
Precisely. Like one is the drive to acquire. This is about wanting status, power, influence, even just physical stuff.
So luxury cars, fancy watches, maybe even courses that promise career advancement.
Exactly.
Oh.
And then there's the drive to bond, our need to feel connected, loved, valued.
Okay, so that explains things like social media, dating apps, community groups, even maybe a friendly local restaurant.
You got it. Understanding which drive your product or service taps into helps you define its real value. It's powerful stuff.
And value itself isn't just one thing, is it? He lists out different forms.
Yeah, 12 standard forms. We often think first of a product, a tangible thing like a phone or a book. Easy to grasp, often easy to scale up.
But then there are others, like the subscription model. That's huge now.
Super huge. Predictable revenue is gold for a business. But it shifts your focus, right? Now it's all about keeping churn low, keeping those subscribers happy.
Or something like an agency, where you're essentially selling something you don't own, like a real estate agent or a talent agent for a cut.
Right, a commission or a fee. But one I find really interesting is how value can come from just solving an annoyance.
Ah, the hassle premium. I love this concept.
Me too. It's simple but profound. The more hassle you eliminate for someone, the more they might be willing to pay.
Like grocery delivery. The groceries are the same, but you're paying extra to avoid the trip, the parking, the checkout lines.
You're paying to get rid of the inconvenience, and sometimes that convenience is worth more to people than, say, a slightly lower price.
Okay, so we've defined value. We know we need to tap into a real want or need. But how do you know if your specific idea hits the mark? This is what testing comes in, right?
Yes, and this is where things get really interesting, where a lot of people go wrong.
How so?
Well, there's this romantic notion of the lone genius perfecting their creation in secret, shrouded in secrecy, then boom, unveiling the masterpiece.
You're right, like Michelangelo chipping away at David in private.
Exactly. But in business, that's usually a recipe for disaster. Kaufman stresses that nobody gets it right the first time. Innovation is messy. It's all about iteration.
So forget perfection, focus on feedback.
Bingo. Fast, high-quality feedback loops. That's the engine of improvement.
And crucially, feedback from real potential customers, not just your mom or your best friend.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
Friends and family are usually too nice. They don't want to hurt your feelings. You need the unvarnished truth, even if it stings a little.
So ask open-ended questions. Try not to get defensive. Easier said than done sometimes.
True. But that honest criticism, that's gold. That's the data you need.
And to get that data without betting the farm, you need to test your biggest assumptions first, your critical assumptions.
This is where the minimum viable offer, the MVO, comes in.
Okay, MVO, is that like a basic prototype?
Not exactly the product prototype. It's the simplest possible offer that lets you start gathering data, specifically testing if people will pay.
Okay. Like the bare minimum to see if there's real commercial interest.
Precisely. And a great way to do this is something called shadow testing.
Shadow testing. Explain that one.
Okay, let's use an example. Say you want to open a fancy yoga studio. Big dream, Ray.
Yeah, potentially big investment too. Lease equipment, instructors.
Exactly. Instead of jumping into all that, you can shadow test. You build a really nice-looking website describing the studio, the classes, the vibe.
Okay.
Then you offer, say, discounted annual memberships for pre-order. You actually set it up to take credit card details.
Whoa, okay. Taking money already.
But, and this is key, you make it crystal clear that the charge only goes through if the studio reaches a certain minimum number of pre-orders and actually opens.
Got it. So it's contingent. No risk for the customer if it doesn't happen.
Right. You're not really selling yoga yet. You're selling the idea of the yoga studio. And you're getting hard, cold data on whether people in that area are willing to pay your price before you sign that expensive lease.
That's clever. You're testing the critical assumption, will people pay $150 a month for this? With real commitment, not just survey answers.
Exactly. It's powerful.
Okay, so you've validated the offer, people want it, but maybe they're still hesitant to buy, scared of making a mistake.
The buyer's risk. That's where risk reversal comes in. It's a fantastic marketing technique.
Basically, shifting the risk from the buyer onto the seller.
You got it. Think 100% money-back guarantees. No questions asked.
Or those mattress companies offering 100-night, even 365-night trials. Take the puppy home, basically.
Yeah. You remove that fear of getting stuck with something you don't like, that fear of making a dumb purchase. You eliminate that emotional barrier.
And sales tend to go way up. Makes sense.
And this connects really nicely to the expectation effect, how customers perceive quality.
Okay, how does that work?
Well, Kaufman puts it as a simple formula. Quality, performance expectations.
Performance minus expectations. So you want performance to be higher than expectations.
Always. Under-promise and over-deliver. The classic Zappos example illustrates this perfectly.
Right, the shoe delivery story. They didn't always advertise free expedited shipping.
No, but they often upgraded customers to faster shipping anyway at no extra cost. It arrived sooner than expected.
That little surprise creates a feeling of delight, right? Much more powerful than if they'd just promised 2-day shipping up front.
Exactly. That unexpected positive difference. That registers as much higher quality in the customer's mind. Surprise is a powerful tool.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit to the money side. Profit. Obviously important.
Crucial. But Kaufman suggests focusing not just on maximizing profit, but on achieving sufficiency.
Sufficiency. Why that distinction? Isn't more profit always better?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Chasing maximum profit can lead to burnout, complexity, maybe even cutting corners. Sufficiency is about having enough.
Enough to keep the business running smoothly.
Pay yourself a reasonable amount, cover costs, and make the whole venture feel worthwhile. It's a more stable, sustainable goal.
It links to that idea of being ramen profitable, doesn't it?
It does. Just having enough coming in to cover the basics, rent, food, essential bills, so you can stop stressing about immediate survival and focus on actually building the business.
Okay, so you're ramen profitable, maybe a bit more.
Mhm.
Now you want to grow. You need to think about marketing spend.
And to spend wisely, you must understand two key metrics: lifetime value, LTV, and allowable acquisition cost, AAC.
LTV and AAC. Okay, break those down.
LTV, lifetime value, is the total profit you realistically expect to make from an average customer over the entire time they do business with you.
So not just the first sale, but all their future purchases too.
Exactly. And your AAC, allowable acquisition cost, is simply how much you can afford to spend to get that customer in the first place.
And logically, your AAC has to be less than your LTV, otherwise you're losing money on every new customer.
Bingo. If you know a customer is likely to stick around and spend a lot over, say, 5 years, a high LTV, then you can afford to spend more upfront to acquire them.
That explains those companies like Gut the Ranker with Proactive, right? They
Yeah.
spend a fortune on those infomercials.
They do. And they often actually lose money on that first $20 trial kit sale.
But they do it because
They know the LTV of a subscriber who sticks with the recurring shipments is potentially thousands of dollars over time. Spending, say, $100 to acquire that customer looks like a bargain in the long run.
that really highlights the power of knowing your LTV. Okay, so that's acquiring customers. What about scaling the whole operation?
Scalability is key for major growth. And generally speaking, products tend to scale much better than services.
Why is that?
Because a product, once designed, can often be duplicated millions of times relatively cheaply, often without needing significantly more human effort for each additional unit. Think software, or books, or widgets.
Whereas services usually rely on people's time and effort and humans. Well, we don't scale easily.
Exactly. There are only so many hours in the day. Scaling a service business often means hiring more people, which adds complexity and cost.
And when you have a scalable system, even small improvements can have huge effects. That's amplification.
Right. An example, the beverage can industry. Think about aluminum cans.
Okay.
Over the years, engineers have made tiny, almost invisible changes, making the can walls fractions of a millimeter thinner, changing the lid design slightly. Small stuff.
But multiplied by billions and billions of cans produced every year.
Those tiny changes save the industry literally billions of dollars in material costs over time. That's amplification. Small tweak, massive leverage in a scalable system.
Wow. Okay, these are big concepts. How do we bring this down to like actionable stuff for someone listening right now? Shifting to that entrepreneurial mindset personally.
Great question. Let's make it practical. First up, personal productivity. Kaufman talks about identifying your most important tasks, your MITs.
MITs, not just a long to-do list.
Definitely not. It's about ruthless prioritization. Every day, figure out the 2 or maybe 3 absolute highest leverage tasks, the ones that will produce the biggest results for your goals.
And do those first.
First thing in the morning, ideally, when your energy and focus are typically highest.
Hmm.
Get the big rocks in the jar first.
I like that. Okay, what else?
Externalization. This sounds simple, but it's crucial for making better decisions faster.
Externalization, meaning getting stuff out of your head.
Exactly. Writing things down, your ideas, your problems, your options. Use paper, a whiteboard, whatever works.
Why is that so important?
Because our brains, left to their own devices, tend to do what he calls mental thrashing. You just cycle through the same thoughts, the same worries, the same options over and over.
Without actually deciding or moving forward? Yeah, I know that feeling.
Writing it down breaks that cycle. It forces clarity, helps you compare options objectively, and frees up mental bandwidth. You stop thrashing and start doing. It helps you make decisions quicker and dedicate energy back to those MITs.
That makes a ton of sense. Okay, one more maybe. Dealing with the fear factor.
Ah, yes, fear. Often it boils down to loss aversion. We're wired to hate losing things more than we enjoy gaining things.
So how do you overcome that paralysis?
Use the doomsday scenario thought experiment.
So cheerful.
Sounds negative, but it's actually really empowering. You deliberately imagine the absolute worst-case outcome.
Okay, so the business fails completely, you lose the money, maybe look a bit foolish.
Right. You walk through it. And what you almost always realize is you'll probably be okay. In today's world, business failure rarely means actual physical danger. It might sting, you might have to start over, but you survive.
So by confronting the worst, it loses its power. You realize it's manageable.
Precisely. It dials down that primal fear signal, that threat response, and allows you to see the risk more rationally as a potential manageable setback rather than a paralyzing catastrophe. It frees you up to take calculated risks.
That's a really practical mental tool.
It really is. Helps you move forward.
Okay, so let's try and tie this all together. What are the big takeaways for someone listening, maybe thinking about starting something or just wanting to be more effective?
Well, first I'd say, test your big ideas before you commit everything. Use things like minimum viable offers, maybe shadow testing, to check those critical assumptions. Is there really a market willing to pay?
Get that validation early. Makes sense. What else?
Second, think about your finances in terms of sufficiency, not just blind profit maximization. And really understand your customer lifetime value so you know what you can actually afford to spend to acquire them. Focus on that long-term relationship.
Right, play the long game. And
Third, implement those personal productivity habits now. Identify your MITs every single day and tackle them first. Use externalization. Write things down to clear your head and make decisions faster. Don't just spin your wheels mentally.
solid advice. Test, focus on sufficiency and LTV, and get your personal systems in order.
That's a good summary.
So maybe a final thought to leave people with.
I think it's about embracing the journey. Business education, whether formal or self-directed like this, it's continuous. The real key is cultivating an experimental mindset.
An experimental mindset.
Yeah, be willing to try things constantly. Collect data, what worked, what didn't. Learn from everything. The more you experiment, the faster you learn, and ultimately the more you'll achieve. That mindset is probably worth more than any single degree.
That's a great place to end. Constant learning, constant experimentation.
Absolutely. Thanks for digging into this one with me. The Personal MBA really packs a punch.
It really does. So thank you for joining us on the Business Book Club for this deep dive.
Hope you found it valuable.
If you enjoyed getting these practical mental models and cutting through some of the usual business jargon, definitely hit subscribe so you don't miss our next session.
We'll keep unpacking the best ideas out there.
We will indeed. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Business Book Club.
Now, that's a wrap for this episode of the Business Book Club. If you enjoyed the ride, make sure to subscribe so you'll never miss our next deep dive. Got a favorite business book you'd love us to explore? Let us know. We're always up for a good read. And hey, don't keep all these insights to yourself. Share this episode with a fellow book lover or your work buddy who's always looking to level up. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and we'll see you in the next episode.